In the vast, sun-scorched plains of West Texas, where the horizon stretched like an endless promise, rancher Jack Harlan steered his old pickup truck down a dusty backroad. The engine grumbled like an old friend, kicking up clouds of red earth that danced in the rearview mirror. Jack was a man carved from the land itself, calloused hands, weathered face, and a heart hardened by years of drought, loss, and the relentless grind of ranch life. Eddie buried his wife 5 years ago to cancer, and since then, solitude had become his shadow. But on this sweltering afternoon in late summer, as the sun dipped toward the rugged hills, something shattered that quiet isolation. There, slumped against a barbed wire fence at the edge of his property, was a figure wrapped in a tattered blanket. Jack slammed on the brakes, his heart pounding like a wild Mustang. He stepped out, boots crunching on gravel, and approached cautiously. "Ma'am? You all right?" he called. The figure stirred, and a weak voice rasped back, "Just kill me fast." Jack froze, the words hitting him like a shotgun blast. He knelt down, his knees protesting against the hard ground. The woman, couldn't have been more than 30, peered out from under the blanket, her face gaunt and streaked with dirt, eyes hollow with despair. Her clothes were ragged, stained with sweat and what looked like blood. She clutched the blanket tightly to her chest, as if it held the last fragment of her world. "Please," she whispered again, her voice cracking, "just make it quick. He can't. He can't go on." Jack's mind raced. Who was she? A renegade? A victim of some unspeakable crime? The nearest town was miles away, and out here, folks didn't just appear like ghosts. He reached out a hand, gentle as he could manage. "No one's killing anyone today, ma'am. Name is Jack. But yours?" She hesitated, her breath shallow. "Maria," she murmured. "From south of the border. Crossed the river, Desago. No food, no water. Antes." She trailed off, her grip tightening on the blanket. Curiosity and concern warred within Jack. He'd heard stories on the news, migrants risking everything for a shot at the American dream, only to face horrors in the desert. But this was real, flesh and blood, right on his land. "Let me help you inside the truck," he said, his voice steady despite the knot in his gut. "Got water and some food back at the ranch house." Maria shook her head weakly. "No. You don't understand. Just, open the blanket. See for yourself. Then you'll know why it's better to end it." Jack's brow furrowed. What could be so terrible? He glanced around, no one for miles, just the wind whispering through the mesquite bushes. Slowly, with her nod of permission, he peeled back the edge of the blanket. What he saw made him stumble back, horror gripping his chest like a vice. Nestled against Maria's frail body was a tiny infant, no more than a few months old, skin pale and clammy, lips blue-tinged, barely breathing. The child's eyes fluttered weakly, and a faint wheeze escaped its tiny chest. Flies buzzed around a makeshift bandage on the baby's leg, soaked through with pus and blood. "Good Lord," Jack gasped, his voice breaking. It wasn't just the sight, it was the raw vulnerability, the innocence on the brink of oblivion. Maria's tears fell freely now. "His name is Mateo. Born on the journey. Got bit by something in the desert, scorpion, maybe. Fevers burning him up. He tried. I tried. But no money, no doctor. Used kill us both fast. Better than watching him suffer." Jack's world tilted. Memories flooded him, his own daughter, lost in infancy to a fever the doctors couldn't beat, back when he and his wife were young and full of hope. He'd sworn off that pain, built walls around his heart. But here it was, staring back at him in the form of this stranger and her child. He could turn away, call the authorities, let the system handle it. That's what folks did these days, mind their own, avoid the mess. But something deeper stirred, a spark of humanity he'd thought long extinguished. "No," he said firmly, more to himself than to her. "We're not ending anything. Get in the truck. Now." With surprising strength, he scooped Maria and the bundled baby into his arms, carrying them to the passenger seat. As he drove back to the ranch, the truck bouncing over ruts, he radioed ahead on his CB, old habits from roundup days. "Doc Alice? It's Jack Harlan. Got an emergency. Woman and a sick baby. Harry. The ranch house was a modest affair, wood-framed and sun-bleached, surrounded by corrals where a few cattle lowed in the distance. Jack carried Maria inside, laying her on the worn couch in the living room. The air smelled of leather and coffee, remnants of his solitary life. He fetched water, a clean cloth, and some canned soup, but his eyes kept darting to the baby. Mateo's breaths were ragged, each one a knife twist. Maria sipped the water gratefully, but her gaze never left her son. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. "You don't know me. It could be trouble." Jack paused, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Because I've been where you are, helpless, watching someone you love slip away. Lost my little girl years ago. Fever took her. My wife never recovered, and neither did I, really. But turning away now? That they make me less than the dirt under my boots." As he spoke, an unexpected turn hit him, a profound realization. All these years, he'd been ranching alone, convincing himself that isolation was strength. But kindness wasn't weakness, it was the rope that pulled you out of the abyss. Doc Ellis arrived within the hour, his ancient Ford kicking up dust like Jack's had. The old veterinarian, semi-retired but the closest thing to a doctor in these parts. Bustled in with his black bag. He wasn't licensed for humans, but out here, lines blurred. "Jack, you old coot, what's this about?" he grumbled, then stopped short at the sight of Maria and Mateo. "Lord have mercy." He examined the baby quickly, unwrapping the bandage to reveal a swollen, infected wound. "Scorpion sting, all right. Nasty one. Kid's septic. Needs antibiotics, fluids, hospital, stat." Jack's face paled. The nearest hospital was over an hour away, in Lubbock. "Can you stabilize him here, Doc? She's undocumented, irrecon. Border Patrol might get involved." Doc Ellis shot him a knowing look. "Since when do you care about paperwork, Harlan?" "All right, I've got some penicillin in the bag, that grade, but it'll do in a pinch. But we gotta move fast." As Doc worked, administering a shot and cleaning the wound, Maria watched in silent awe. Jack hovered nearby, fetching supplies, his hands shaking for the first time in years. Hours blurred into a tense vigil. Mateo cried weakly at first, then fell into a fitful sleep as the medicine kicked in. Maria shared her story in hushed tones, fleeing violence in Mexico, her husband killed by cartels, crossing the Rio Grande with nothing but hope and her unborn child. "I dreamed of a better life for him," she said, tears glistening. "But the desert, it takes everything." Jack nodded, sharing his own scars, the ranch nearly foreclosed after his wife's death, the loneliness that gnawed like termites. An unexpected bond formed in that dimly lit room, two souls from different worlds united by loss and resilience. But as night fell, another turn came. Mateo's fever spiked again, his tiny body convulsing. "He's not responding," Doc muttered, sweat beading on his brow. "We need real help. Call the ambulance." Jack hesitated, knowing what it meant: authorities, questions, possible deportation for Maria. Yet, looking at her pleading eyes, he realized the power of selflessness. This wasn't about borders or laws, it was about humanity. In a moment of profound realization, Jack grabbed his keys. "No ambulance. Go slow. I'll drive them myself." Doc protested, but Jack was already bundling Mateo back into the blanket, cleaner now, with Maria following shakily. The drive to Lubbock was a blur of dark highways and flashing headlights, Jack's foot heavy on the gas. Maria clutched her son, whispering prayers in Spanish. "Why risk this for us?" she asked again. Jack glanced over, the dashboard lights etching lines on his face. "Because everyone deserves a fighting chance. And maybe helping you heals a bit of me." They arrived at the ER just as dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. Doctor swarmed, whisking Mateo away for IVs, scans, and proper care. Maria collapsed into a chair, exhausted but hopeful. The climax came in the waiting room, hours later. A young doctor emerged, smiling wearily. "The boy's stable. Infections under control. Caught it just in time. He'll need a few days, but he's a fighter." Maria sobbed with relief, throwing her arms around Jack. "You saved him. You saved us." But the transformation went deeper. As social workers arrived, Jack stepped up, vouching for Maria. "She's family now," he said firmly. "I'll sponsor her if need be. Ranch needs help anyway." It was an act of compassion that rippled outward. Neighbors heard, pitched in with clothes and food. A local church offered legal aid. Maria and Mateo stayed at the ranch during recovery, and what started as aid bloomed into partnership. She helped with chores, her strength returning, while Mateo's giggles filled the empty house. Months later, under a starlit teja sky, Jack sat on the porch with Maria, Mateo toddling nearby. "Never thought I'd find family again," Jack admitted. Maria smiled. "Kindness finds its way, like rain in the desert." The story of the rancher and the migrant spread quietly, inspiring locals to open their hearts amid divisive times. It reminded them, and perhaps a nation, that selflessness bridges divides, that one act of humanity can spark hope. In a world quick to build walls, Jack's choice to open his door proved that true strength lies in lifting others up. And in that, everyone found a little more light.